Hi, my name is Olivia Benbow, and this is my introduction slide. My profession, I am currently a fifth grade teacher at Washington Elementary School in Lancaster City. I teach math and science, and then this is my fourth year of teaching. Some hobbies or things that I like to do outside of work or school is watching movies, traveling, and being part of a course. I really enjoy watching movies, and you'll see a couple of my favorites just listed there. It's really one of those things that just help me to feel relaxed and be able to zone out for a little bit. Traveling has been squashed a little bit with COVID, but I really enjoy going to different and new places and seeing different and new people, and being able to do that with my family, which are the pictures that you see there. The MFE Lancaster course I joined about 2 years ago, and I really enjoy singing and being a part of a group. I am currently pursuing a Master's of Assessment, Curriculum, and Teaching with a concentration in STEM education. This is the last class that I have to take for this degree, so my intention is to graduate in December. Now on to the questions. So for question number 1, I think I will have the most difficulty with stage number 4, which is developing an action plan. I think I will have the most difficulty with this because that's not something I am familiar with or do a lot. I think when I interpret or look at data, I kind of think of a couple things that I could do, but not necessarily design a foolproof plan. I also will have trouble with only one variable. This was mentioned in the action research article that we read, and I think they made great points about only using one variable. That way you know what works. But I think typically when I go to make a change, I do a couple things at a time, not just one. And I think that will be a little bit difficult for me, and just a change from what I typically do. Question 2. I think some of the obstacles that I see with this approach is the consistency and then just the accurate data. As an elementary teacher, I just think about all of the things that go on and that change our schedule, and students come in late, students leave, all of those things that just kind of go along. Students get crazy with teaching, and so I think sometimes our data can be inconsistent, especially if I'm the one who's taking it and not being able to take it from the outside, but on the inside and irresponsible for taking the data and teaching at the same time. Especially for me, I am in a dyad, so I have my students switch, and I teach 2 classes, and so if I'm collecting data, depending on what it is, it's hard to track a specific student or a specific set of students because they're not with me all day. They're with another teacher. And so if that teacher collects data and their data is different than mine, it may not be consistent. And they just might be other factors. Another obstacle I'll see is a time for interpreting data and acting on evidence. Especially because I'm in a dyad and I work with a team, it's really important that we all do it together and interpret our own data, but then have a discussion about what we see across classes. And that is just something that's very difficult to do with coordinating times and without a lot of prep time already built into our schedule. It's very difficult for all of us to be able to meet and then to be able to put our act on it, because then we all have to act on that evidence, which again is just difficult for all of us to kind of sync and coordinate up. The last thing that might be an obstacle, depending on what type of research is happening, is outside factors, such as students' home lives. Again, like I said earlier, those schedules, those things that create change in the classroom and could skew the data without you even being able to change it or really do anything about it at that point. So for the last question, I resonated or connected with Julie Nora the most from Rogers Williams Middle School in Providence, Rhode Island. And the content or the part that made me really connect or resonate with her was the 2 types of professionals. And she said this quote, "Over time, I can see that action research demands the skills of two types of professionals: teachers who work in the trenches every day, and educational researchers who can help us assess our teaching in a way that gives us meaningful information." And I think I really connected to the piece or the part about being in the trenches and that type of researcher or teacher, and then having someone who is an educational researcher or kind of that person on the outside who's not there and able to give some different advice just because they're not sitting in the middle of this data. And that actually leads to what one of my concerns is. Personally, I'm not a very nitty-gritty person. It's very difficult for me to organize those thoughts and to come up with those strategies. And so having that person on the outside is really helpful because they can always just see the things that I can't. So my concern is that I won't be able to have both roles when I'm doing research for this class. This is the end of my slide, so thank you for watching, and I look forward to interacting and being able to meet all of you through our D2L system.